Hi there, I do the monthly Looking Up articles in the EH, mainly to inform members new to astronomy about the many changing objects that come around each month. There's always plenty to see if you are aware of what is currently up there. So, when the next observing opportunity presents itself, be prepared with an achievable list of objects to see. That way, you will get to see a lot of new stuff and increase your repertoire of favourite objects. By achievable, I'm referring to the limits of your optical equipment, such as telescopes and lenses, and also the seeing conditions on the night. You can pick a list of targets from my Looking Up article, or scan through magazines like Astronomy Now or Sky at Night, use apps, star charts, etc. But we need to alter the list to account for the different views we get over the period of a year. And this is what I've done with respect to the list of objects I suggest each month in my Looking Up guide. Keep your lists because they will come around again next year. It always feels great when you manage to see most of the targets you have on a list. Okay, so let's get on with this month. The clocks have just gone back and the evenings are noticeably drawing in. By the end of November, true astronomical darkness occurs from 6 p.m. until around 5:50 a.m. So not only does it now get darker earlier, but it is also dark for nearly 12 hours on average each day later this month. So what's happening in this month? Jupiter is a shining beacon in the evening sky. Both Jupiter and Uranus come to opposition this month, so they are well placed for observing. Venus shines brightly in the pre-dawn sky and is subject to a rare event on the 9th of November when it becomes occulted by the moon around 9:45 a.m. There's more on that in the November Looking Up. The Summer Triangle is still up there in the evenings. The Andromeda Galaxy M31 is right above us late in the evening. Cassiopeia and Perseus are available all night, and in the early morning hours, glorious Orion, accompanied by the Pleiades and the Hyades, are situated straight above us. There are also two decent meteor showers this month. The Northern Taurus meteor shower peaks around 5 a.m. on the 12th to 13th of November. Also, 55P Tempel-Tuttle comet, which returns to the inner solar system every 33 years, provides the debris for the Leonids meteor shower, which peaks on the 17th and 18th of November, and it promises to put on a good show. More in the EH. Don't miss looking up at the big and bright globular cluster Messier 2, or M2 as we call it, residing in Aquarius. It is probably the best globular cluster to be found in our northern autumn sky and can easily be seen through a pair of binoculars or a modest-sized scope. And no filters are required for globs because they are just made up of stars. So, the planets and our moon and other stuff, well, there's a full list of what's happening in the EH, but basically what's different is there's 3 comets are afoot this month. And the details are in there, but basically, Comet 62P Sushinshan offers a fine chance to observe when it buzzes past the Beehive cluster M44 on the morning of the 12th of November. So it's easy enough to find, and 15 by 70 binoculars should show the comet because it has a magnitude of around +8. Another comet, Comet 103P Hartley, is in northern Hydra, and it's forecast to be the brightest comet this month. So look it up and have a look. Comet C2023 H2 Lemon also reached perihelion on the 29th of October and comes closest to Earth on the 10th of November, when it should shine at around +8 magnitude. I think that one's going at quite a speed, so you'd have to look it up on an app where it is, and then see if you can see it through binoculars. Okay, moving on to Deep Sky on Show. At opposition on the ecliptic during November is Taurus, the bull. Uranus and Jupiter are right next door in Aries, so they're not too far away from it. Aldebaran marks the eye of Taurus the Bull, and it shines at magnitude 0.9, making it the 13th brightest star in the sky. It appears to reside in the Hyades open star cluster, and you can't miss it. But its distance is only about halfway to the Hyades open cluster. But it is the eye-catching Pleiades, M45 as we like to call it, a close neighbour of the Hyades, that is the most famous open cluster in Taurus. The Pleiades is a very conspicuous open cluster, and there's lots more info in the November EH. Also in Taurus, the famous Crab Nebula, M1, the first on Messier's list. It exploded as a supernova in 1054 AD. As a matter of fact, I was born 900 years, more or less to the day, when it happened. But at that time, records show that this new star, as they called it, could be seen in bright daylight for several months. At night, it was much brighter than Venus or indeed anything else in the sky. So M1 has evolved into a wonderful nebula, and it's worth seeking out. I've seen it many times. Have a go at that. Elsewhere, there are so many objects available at this time of year. For example, the stunning Perseus double cluster NGC 884 and NGC 869 is really coming into play now, and is simply a wow factor through binoculars or telescopes alike. The stars look like sparkling jewels laid on a black velvet cloth. You can easily see this with the unaided eye as a faint smudge lying between Cassiopeia and Perseus. This truly is an amazing object to see. Again in Perseus, there's an interesting star which you can see naked eye. It's the triple star system Algol, and it presents us with an interesting phenomenon. The large bright primary star is regularly eclipsed by its dimmer secondary companion star, and this event takes place every 2 days, 20 hours and 49 minutes. And this causes a noticeable dip in Algo's brightness from magnitude plus 2.1 to magnitude plus 3.4. And it lasts for a roughly 10-hour period. So if you gaze up and you look towards Perseus and you look at Algo over many weeks, you may just catch it when it's in that dim period, which is it's one of those things I like to think as it's astronomy in motion. We think when we look up at the sky, there's nothing happening, but when you look closely at certain things, things do happen. Like Jupiter and its moons, they're moving all the time. Right, so moving on. This one's a new one to me, and I intend to have a look at it. I've only came across this one recently, but it's not one I have seen. I've seen most everything else in this section. But this is new, and it's another interesting target. But it's autumn's showpiece binary star, Almach. It's Gamma Andromedae, a beautiful, colourful double star that is bettered only by the gorgeous Albireo in Cygnus. Where can we find Almach, Algol, the Perseus double cluster, and lots of other things like M31, Caroline Rose, and the Pac-Man Nebula? Well, there's a chart in the November EH, and they're all in roughly the same area, all around Perseus and Cassiopeia, etc. Messier 74, NGC 628, is a face-on spiral galaxy in the constellation of Pisces. It has the lowest surface brightness of any of the Messier objects, and it's a difficult object to observe visually. But its large angular size and face-on orientation make it an archetypal example of a grand design spiral galaxy. Almost next door is NGC 7662, the Blue Snowball. It's an autumn showpiece planetary nebula in the constellation of Andromeda. This is a very popular planetary nebula for amateur observers. It's bright, large, and somewhat elongated, with apparent dimming at its centre, and it has a very faint central star. A small refractor will reveal a star-like object with slight nebulosity. A 6-inch telescope with a magnification of around 100 will reveal a slightly bluish disk, and you may notice a 13th magnitude star that lies on the eastern edge of it. NGC 7331 is a spiral galaxy in the constellation of Pegasus. The galaxy is similar in size and structure to our Milky Way, and it's often referred to as the Milky Way's twin. There's more on this in the EAH, but I have to mention it has got 4 faint companion galaxies which lie next to it. They may be glimpsed visually with averted vision under good skies. They are commonly known as the fleas. They are not small, they're just simply further away. And just half a degree from NGC 7331, and that is roughly equivalent to the Moon's diameter, so it's close, lies the famous group of 5 galaxies which you all have heard of, Stephan's Quintet. If you've got a big enough scope and the conditions are right, see if you can see them. They'll be dim and faint. You'll need high magnification, but have a crack. Okay, NGC 7814 is an edge-on spiral galaxy in Pegasus, and this is a good target for small scopes. It's slightly elongated and slightly brighter towards its centre, and is sometimes referred to as a miniature version of Messier 104 or the Little Sombrero. You've probably heard of the big one. Also, it's always worth looking at the magnificent Bodes galaxy M81. This shines at plus 6.9 magnitude, and it's a spiral galaxy. And its companion M82, the Cigar galaxy, it's a peculiar galaxy. They are easily found in Ursa Major and lie only 38 minutes apart and are available all year round. But like most things, when it's high up in the sky, have a think about looking at them because they are just beautiful. We know the Summer Triangle holds many interesting objects. Some we have recently covered. But let's take a closer look at another popular object that lies just outside the triangle, namely the fabulous Veil Nebula. I wrote about this in September's EH, and there's more details in there. But I don't want you to miss out on this fabulous target. 21,000 years ago, a massive star exploded in a supernova in Cygnus. It is now a spectacular complex of hot glowing gas that is still expanding at a rate of 1,000,000 kilometers an hour. The veil has currently evolved into an object 3 degrees in diameter, and it's well worth looking at. There's more details in the EH, including pictures, but you may need an oxygen-free or UHC filter to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing the veil through our MSAS Society's Large Newtonian Telescope once we have the new primary and secondary mirrors fitted. Along with the pictorial printable image at the end of my article, I have started putting a long list of Messier objects in there that are seasonally available to us this month. It would be great to hear from you about any observing sessions you may have had, or we can have a chat about any of this stuff if you and I are up at the Obs on any wonderful Wednesday. So, are you now ready for looking up? This is Steve Smith wishing you all clear skies and lots of wow moments. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to your November Looking Up episode. Here is your events calendar for this month. And to start, on Wednesday the 22nd, Barry Jackson is giving a talk on Hubble scenes. On Saturday the 25th, we have an open evening, open to all the public. And on Tuesday the 28th, we have Dr. Martin Braddock giving a talk on Houston. We have a problem. We have met Etty, or E.T. I'm sure that will become clear to me when I go to the talk and hear him pronounce it. So I will see you there. Have a great month, and we'll see you in December for a full-length Obscast episode.